Have you ever wondered about the story behind your daily cup of tea? It's more than just a comforting beverage. It's a saga of emperors, monks, spies, and revolutions that has shaped our world for nearly 5,000 years. Today, we're steeping ourselves in the secret history of tea, from its mythical origins in ancient China to its status as a global obsession. So, pour yourself a cup of your favorite blend, get comfortable, and let's travel back in time. Our story begins in 2737 BC with a legendary Chinese emperor and herbalist, Shennong. As the tale goes, he was boiling water under a tree when a few leaves drifted down into his pot. Intrigued by the fragrant aroma, he took a sip. He found the brew to be refreshing and invigorating. That tree was a wild Camellia sinensis, the tea plant, and that accidental infusion marked the birth of tea. Whether legend or fact, this story captures the essence of tea's discovery, a simple, natural gift that held incredible potential. For centuries, tea was used primarily for its medicinal properties in China. It was a bitter, potent brew, valued by monks and scholars for its ability to aid concentration during long hours of meditation and study. They would steam the fresh leaves, pound them into a paste, and form them into cakes. To prepare the drink, they would break off a piece, toast it until it glowed, and then boil it with water, often adding salt, ginger, or even onions. This was not the delicate brew we know today, but a hearty, savory soup. It wasn't until the Tang dynasty, from the 7th to the 10th century, that tea began its transformation from medicine to art form. This was tea's golden age in China. A scholar named Lu Yu wrote the first ever book dedicated entirely to tea, the Classic of Tea. He meticulously detailed everything from the cultivation of the plant to the proper way to brew and serve the beverage. He elevated tea, turning it into a symbol of harmony, balance, and spiritual refinement. The elaborate tea ceremonies of the Tang court became a hallmark of high culture, spreading its popularity throughout the empire. Tea houses sprung up in cities, becoming social hubs where people from all walks of life could gather. During this time, Japanese monks studying in China brought tea seeds and customs back to their homeland. One monk, Isai, is credited with reintroducing tea to Japan in the 12th century. He saw its potential not just for spiritual practice, but also for the health of the nation. He presented tea to the shogun, famously saying, "Tea is the ultimate mental and medical remedy and has the ability to make one's life more full and complete." This sparked the development of the iconic Japanese tea ceremony, or shinoyu, a highly ritualized and meditative practice centered around the preparation and enjoyment of powdered green tea, known as matcha. Back in China, the Song dynasty saw the rise of whipped tea, a precursor to matcha. But it was during the Ming dynasty that the next major evolution occurred. The emperor decreed that the cumbersome tea cakes should be replaced with loose leaves. This change revolutionized tea production and consumption. Instead of being boiled, the leaves were now steeped in hot water. This new method allowed the subtle, complex flavors of different tea varieties to shine through. It's the method we are most familiar with today. The invention of the teapot also dates back to this era, specifically from Yixing, a region famous for its special purple clay, which was said to enhance the tea's flavor. For a long time, China held a global monopoly on tea. It was a closely guarded secret, a national treasure. The rest of the world knew little of it until the 16th century when Portuguese traders and missionaries living in the East brought back the first accounts and the first samples of this mysterious beverage called cha. The Dutch were the first to ship it to Europe in commercial quantities in the early 1600s, but it was incredibly expensive, a luxury reserved for the absolute elite. When tea arrived in Britain in the mid-17th century, it was initially sold in coffee houses as a novelty. It was Catherine of Braganza, the Portuguese princess who married King Charles II, who truly made it fashionable. She brought her love of tea to the English court, and soon, the aristocracy couldn't get enough. Tea became a status symbol, locked away in ornate tea caddies. Afternoon tea emerged as an elaborate social ritual among the upper classes, a way to display wealth and sophistication. But as demand skyrocketed, Britain faced a major problem. China was the only supplier, and they would only trade tea for silver. This created a massive trade deficit that drained Britain's treasury. Desperate to balance the books, the British East India Company devised a sinister plan. they started illegally smuggling opium from India into China, creating a devastating addiction crisis to get the silver flowing back. This led to the Opium Wars in the mid-19th century, a dark chapter where a nation was forced into trade at gunpoint, all fueled by the thirst for tea. The Opium Wars made it clear to the British that they needed to break China's monopoly. The East India Company turned to espionage. They sent a Scottish botanist named Robert Fortune on a secret mission. Disguised as a Chinese official, Fortune traveled deep into China's forbidden tea regions. He studied their cultivation and processing techniques, and, most importantly, he smuggled thousands of precious tea seeds and seedlings out of the country. These stolen plants were transported to British-controlled India, specifically to regions like Darjeeling and Assam. The gamble paid off. The Indian soil and climate were perfect for tea cultivation. By the late 19th century, British India had surpassed China as the world's leading tea producer, forever changing the global tea trade. Meanwhile, tea was playing a pivotal role across the Atlantic. In the American colonies, tea was a beloved beverage, but it became a symbol of British oppression. The Crown imposed heavy taxes on tea, like the Townshend Acts, to pay for its colonial administration. The colonists' frustration boiled over in 1773 with the Boston Tea Party, where protesters dumped an entire shipment of British tea into the harbor. This act of defiance was a crucial spark that ignited the American Revolution. In a symbolic rejection of all things British, many Americans switched to drinking coffee. The 20th century brought two more major innovations, both born of American ingenuity and happy accidents. In 1904, at the St. Louis World's Fair, a tea merchant named Richard Blatchinden was struggling to sell hot tea during a sweltering heat wave. In a moment of inspiration, he dumped ice into his brew, and iced tea was born. It was an instant hit. Just a few years later, in 1908, a New York tea importer named Thomas Sullivan began sending out his tea samples in small, hand-sewn silk bags. His customers found it convenient to just dunk the whole bag in their cups, rather than emptying out the leaves. And just like that, the tea bag was invented, revolutionizing the way the world consumed tea by making it faster and more convenient than ever. Today, tea is the second most consumed beverage in the world, right after water. From the robust black teas of India and Sri Lanka, to the delicate green teas of Japan, the smoky oolongs of Taiwan, and the fermented pu'er of Yunnan, the world of tea is incredibly diverse. Each cup tells a story of its terroir, its processing, and the culture that shaped it. It's a beverage that has started wars and brokered peace, built empires and fueled revolutions. It's a simple pleasure that connects us to a rich, complex, and fascinating global history. So the next time you brew a cup, take a moment to appreciate the incredible journey those leaves have taken to get to you. It's a journey that spans millennia and crosses continents, all culminating in the perfect, comforting cup in your hands. Which part of tea's story surprised you the most? Was it the tale of the spy Robert Fortune, the opium-fueled wars, or the accidental invention of the tea bag? Let me know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed unraveling this hidden history, don't forget to like this video, share it with a fellow tea lover, and subscribe for more surprising stories that connect our world. Thanks for watching.